Fala galera, vamos de pílula de filosofia hoje, com o nosso ateu gringo, filósofo preferido da internet, Alex O'Connor. Esse cara é sinistro. E ele vai falar aqui com esse cara que eu conheci ele agora por esse vídeo. Ele é conhecido por Vsauce. O nome dele na verdade é Michael David Stevens. E ele é um cara que tem feito muito vídeo de ciência, educação, ciência no YouTube. E os vídeos bem maneiros. Essa conversa deles é bem maneira, um corte bem fora sobre existencialismo, sobre umas questões muito maneiras, assim, tipo, até já bastante debatidas na filosofia, mas eles têm um papo bem maneiro. Enfim, vamos embora pra pílula.
Do you have like a hunch about, I mean, the question of personal identity through time is a big one, but say like right now, right? Like a sort of classic thought in philosophy might be that if I were to cut off your hand, you'd still be there. We could still have this conversation.
Right.
You might be in a bit of pain, but I'm sure we could manage. Similarly, it feels like I could sort of just get rid of the lower half of your body. It feels like I could shave off your beard and well, maybe you wouldn't be you in an important sense, but in a literal sense, you would be. So maybe it's something to do with the brain, but then again, as you've pointed out in videos as well, you can sort of cut a brain in half and you still sort of get a conscious agent. Like, do you have a hunch as to what you are?
Yeah, we're talking about maximal amputation. How amputated can I be and still be me?
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you cut away a brain cell and it's like, oh crap, he's gone?
Mm.
Well, my favorite way.
Uma vez eu ouvi um exemplo sobre isso, sobre exatamente essa pergunta, só que a pergunta era outra, né? Que era, imagina você tá numa transfusão de sangue, transfusão de célula, na verdade, né? E aí você tá de um lado, tá uma outra pessoa do outro, vocês estão com agulhas e tem um cano passando, por exemplo, vamos supor que se os sangues sejam compatíveis, essa não é a questão, né? A questão é mais filosófica. E aí vocês estão passando sangue, por exemplo, de um pro outro, passa um pouco pra cá, passa um pouco pra cá, passa um pouco pra cá, vai misturar, ou então a gente pode pensar que de um vai sair pro outro e tal, e a partir de qual momento você, tipo assim, quando você passa do sangue pra cá, do A pro B, o B continua sendo ele ou agora ele é uma mistura de A com B? E se a gente trocar, né, todos os sangue, toda célula, por exemplo, que tem no corpo, a gente trocou, a gente é outra pessoa, e a partir de qual momento, né? Enfim, essa é uma pergunta sinistra.
Way to approach it is to do like folk philosophy. Just what would a person say? You look at how we talk about these things, because in a way, we actually have solved them. We just don't know that we have. Or I shouldn't say solved. We have found a way to cope with that question.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm trying to think where to begin, I'll just say this. If you're like asleep in the other room and someone says, hey, where is he? I'm like, well, he's in there. Okay, but you're not consciously aware while you're asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But if you die, you're gone. You left us. You passed.
Mm-hmm.
But being asleep and being dead are kind of similar in some ways in terms of like, hey, is he like listening to us right now? Is he like capable of doing things? The sleep and death thing encourages me to believe that it's not so much about a set of properties, it's about a set of potentialities. When you're asleep, you can still do some stuff later, but when you're dead, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, deep inside us is why we think of death as being you being gone.
Mm.
I was reading some surveys from doctors about like, when does a family accept that they have lost a loved one?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not when brain damage occurs. It's when the heart stops.
Mm.
And I thought is that just an old traditional kind of belief that like, well, the heart is life and the brain is just like cools the blood. I don't know if anyone from Aristotelian times is still around, but what I'm saying is deep inside of us, we think of the heart as being, once the heart's gone, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
O que é muito doido, né? Porque tem parada cardíaca, por exemplo, né? Tipo, tem gente que fica, às vezes, minutos, né? Com o coração parado. Tipo, sei lá, tem caso que 5, 10 minutos, coração parado, de repente, bum, volta, né? Até essa coisa, né? Eu acho que isso é uma questão, né? Considerada na ciência, né? Tipo, o que é a morte, né? Quando que morreu? Isso, cara, isso é uma... Enfim.
What do you mean brain death? Well, then, they're still alive. We can keep them alive with feeding tubes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that it comes back to the fact that your brain can change significantly.
Mm-hmm.
You can have brain damage and never walk again, but you're still you. But if your heart stops, there's no potential for you to do anything again, even in a different way like you would if you lost part of your brain.
Yeah. I mean, like losing memory seems like a really important example here. Like somebody who can't remember what happened to them yesterday or 5 minutes ago. There's this guy called Clive something who has a 7-second memory. He was a orchestral conductor and he had some kind of medical thing. It wasn't an accident. It was like a virus or something that caused him to lose his memory every 7 seconds.
Right.
And so
Caralho,
you would sit down with him and you'd say, what's going on? Like, how are you doing? And he'll be like, you're the first person I've seen in 30 years.
Yeah.
And he kept a diary where every day he wrote, I'm alive for the first time. And then he'd cross it out and go, no, now I'm alive. That wasn't the real one. And he would tick off the correct ones. And then he'd go back through and he'd cross off and there is a sense in which you want to say, even without that psychological continuity, you could take out that part of the brain entirely. There's still a person who's unified across that time.
And others would think of it as being a continuous person. Like you kept calling him he, not them or they. And you also named him Clive. Like he's got a name, a single name. So that's why I kind of just lean on your identity is linked to everything that you could do.
Yeah.
And after all, that is what leaves when you die.
Yeah.
When you die, you will never do anything that you could have done but didn't.
Yeah. A really interesting question to me, which I think I have not thoroughly explored enough, is the link between these two things. Mereology, we were talking about before, and then this question of personhood.
Miriofísica. Nunca ouvi falar disso. Meu Deus do céu.
A really interesting question to me, which I think I have not thoroughly explored enough, is the link between these two things. Mereology, we were talking about before, and then this question of personhood, and whether you can have a sort of similar philosophy of both. I mean, we said, like, there isn't really this thing called a table. We just sort of decide when to call it a table and how much of it we'd have to take away until it's no longer a table. We're doing the same kind of thing with people. Like, you've kind of just got, you can take away this and you can take away that, and whether they're alive or dead or still the same person kind of just depends on your context and function.
Yeah, right. Like there's the whole, like, would you love me if I was a worm?
Yeah, right.
That question is actually pretty deep because, well, what do you mean?
What does that even mean?
If you were a worm?
Yeah.
And I think that the average person means if my conscious experience was inside the body of a worm. They just mean my body changed because they don't think of the body as being them. They can lose an arm, they can gain weight or lose weight, and they're still them. They can be a worm and it's still them. The thing that isn't changing is the internal world. And so that's why I think that's like one of the best ways to define what consciousness is when you get into a discussion.
Cara, essa questão da consciência é um negócio muito maneiro, mas muito complexo. Essa definição do que é consciência é um negócio... Enfim, tem muito vídeo maneiro, eu preciso trazer esse vídeo pro canal.
And a lot of times people are talking past each other. Some are talking about awareness. Some are talking about interiority. I just say, look, consciousness is the thing that doesn't change for Phil in Groundhog's Day. Every morning he wakes up and everything's changed back to the way it was on 6 a.m. Groundhog's Day.
Yeah.
But he remembers that thing that's not changing. His wounds go away. But the thing inside, that's what we're trying to get at when we're talking about if you were a worm, what part of the worm is you? It's that stuff. It's that mental interiority.
I have a question then, right? Like,
tem uma galera filosofia utilitarista, me corrijam aí, quem souber. Funcional? Não, acho que é utilitarista. Que basicamente entende que o cérebro, que a consciência, na verdade, é a soma do que a gente tem no cérebro em termos de materiais, né? Então, por exemplo, se tirou o cérebro, se o teu cérebro... Não tem como, por exemplo, a consciência de uma pessoa tá no corpo de uma minhoca, por exemplo, porque o cérebro vai ser outro, né? Então, ao mesmo tempo que, por exemplo, se eu tirar uma parte do teu cérebro, ou uma parte do cérebro mudar, teoricamente a tua consciência mudaria também de alguma forma, né? O que é um pouco, o que faz um pouco sentido, né? Tem uns casos, por exemplo, de pessoas que sofrem acidente, por exemplo, sofrem, agora não sei, né? Traumatismo craniano, sei lá, enfim. E aí mudam a personalidade completamente, né? Ou seja, teve uma alteração física no teu cérebro que alterou a tua personalidade. Essa parte da personalidade, ela é também parte da tua consciência, ou a tua consciência é algo separado da tua personalidade? Essa é uma boa pergunta, né? Porque também se a tua personalidade se altera conforme o tempo, a gente tá falando que a tua consciência quando você tinha 10 anos e 60 é diferente, ou é a mesma consciência com uma personalidade diferente? Enfim, essa descrição do que é a consciência, cara, é um negócio que me tira do sério, eu acho que todo mundo. Vou voltar um pouco aqui.
Worm. What part of the worm is you? It's that stuff. It's that mental interiority.
I have a question then, right? Like, if we can conceive of my consciousness inside of a worm, a lot of people who are like materialists about the world think that consciousness is just this thing that the brain does, that conscious experiences are just the same thing as brain activity. If that were the case, then surely in order to put your consciousness into a worm, you'd need to literally take your sort of big human brain and put it inside of a worm. If we can imagine taking your consciousness and fitting it inside of a worm, like taking it out of your brain and putting it into the worm brain, does that tell us that, at least the way we're thinking about it conceptually, that consciousness is not tied to the brain in that materialistic way? Or would it be that in order to have a worm with your consciousness, you'd need a worm with Michael Stevens' brain literally inside of it?
I don't know. I mean, I believe but cannot prove that it could be, my consciousness could be replicated in a computer,
right,
or with some much more space-efficient system that could fit inside of a worm.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say my consciousness, I kind of just mean a thing that believes it is alive, believes it has conscious will, and also thinks that it is the continuation of my experiences.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could like build a machine that would just suddenly copy my brain and put it into this little special worm brain so that I like basically died.
Mm-hmm.
And this worm went, oh my gosh, I don't have any arms. I'm Michael though.
Yeah.
I don't know what... Is there like a soul of mine that continues on and is like, I'm dead?
É aí que religiosidade e espiritualidade fazem a bagunça, né? A bagunça no bom sentido, assim, tipo, se divertem, né? Porque tem muito pano pra manga, né, cara? Pra tu poder colocar a espiritualidade e religiosidade no meio disso, né? Pra explicações, né? E aqui eu não tô fazendo julgamento de valor, não. Não faço a menor ideia do que tá certo e o que tá errado. Mas é muita coisa incerta e abstrata, né, cara? Dá pra tu começar... Opa, na verdade, isso é a alma, o seu espírito, isso é... Enfim, nomeie.
Is there like a soul of mine that continues on and is like, I'm dead? The thing in the worm is an imposter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to just do that experiment.
Well, here's a question, just to get an idea of your intuition here. Suppose that there's you and there's like your greatest enemy. I don't know who that is. They shall remain nameless. But you need to want bad stuff to happen to them. And you want good stuff to happen to you. And I'm some sort of evil, crazy doctor. And I say, here's what I'm going to do, Michael. I'm going to put you into an operation. I'm going to put you on a table and you're going to go unconscious. I'm going to take all of your memories, all of your conscious experience, and I'm going to move it over to his brain. And I'm going to take all of his and I'm going to move it over to yours. So when you wake up, you'll wake up with all of his memories. You'll look down at your hands and you'll go, gosh, just 5 minutes ago, I remember being him,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. Now, before I do this operation, I'm going to tell you that one of these, after the operation, I'm going to torture.
Mm.
Who do you want me to torture?
E aí?
Not the body I'm inhabiting.
So you'd want me to torture the other guy's body because he'll wake up with your memories.
Hold on, wait.
He'll wake up.
When
with
does
all
the
of...
torture happen?
Afterwards.
After the switch.
After the switch.
Right.
So what I've swapped is all of the memories and all of this sort of continuous experience, but none of the physical matter.
Right.
Just literally sort of as if I can go in as if it's a computer and tap, tap, tap and get rid of your memories and put his memories into you.
Yeah.
You know, who do you want me to torture?
I want you to torture...
Tá, peraí. Então ele basicamente está entendendo que a minha memória o que é quase baseado, que é quase a mesma coisa que a gente poderia se confrontar em relação a isso, né? Do tipo que a minha memória é mais ou menos a minha experiência de vida, você troca isso e coloca isso no outro corpo, no outro cérebro, no outro tudo, mas é como se pegasse os dados, né? Transferência de dados de HD para HD, né? E aí você tem aquele novo cérebro, aquele novo corpo, aquele novo tudo, só que você acorda e você tá num novo corpo pensando... E eu não sei se é isso não, porque ele falou, na verdade, você passa até as memórias... Ih, não lembro, não sei. Acho que eu vou ter que voltar aqui, na verdade. Vamos lá.
Greatest enemy. I don't know who that is. They shall remain nameless. But you need to want bad stuff to happen to them. And you want good stuff to happen to you. And I'm some sort of evil, crazy doctor. And I say, here's what I'm going to do, Michael. I'm going to put you into an operation. I'm going to put you on a table and you're going to go unconscious. I'm going to take all of your memories, all of your conscious experience, and I'm going to move it over to his brain. And I'm going to take all of his and I'm going to move it over to yours. So when you wake up, you'll wake up with all of his memories. You'll look down at your hands and you'll go, gosh, just 5...
Ah, ele assumiu que você vai acordar no... O você é o corpo. É isso que ele tá assumindo. Entendi.
minutes ago, I remember being him, and vice versa. Now, before I do this operation, I'm going to tell you that one of these, after the operation, I'm going to torture. Who do you want me to torture?
Not the body I'm inhabiting.
So you'd want me to torture the other guy's body because he'll wake up with your memories.
Hold on, wait.
He'll wake up.
When
with
does
all
the torture happen?
Afterwards.
After the
switch.
Right.
So what I've swapped is all of the memories and all of this sort of continuous experience, but none of the physical matter.
Right.
Just literally sort of as if I can go in as if it's a computer and tap, tap, tap and get rid of your memories and put his memories into you.
Yeah.
You know, who do you want me to torture?
I want you to torture my body containing his experience.
Yeah, that's interesting because now if everything about you physically stays the same, everything physical that makes you up stays the same, and yet you say, well, I'd rather that this physical self be tortured because I'm going to be over there.
Yeah.
Does that give us an argument for like the immateriality of the mind or the self? Because all of the material is still the same, but you are not identifying yourself with it anymore, you know?
Yeah, it makes me really question things like the emotion of revenge.
Yeah.
Because if you made a clone of my worst enemy, and then you said, well, you can torture the clone we just made, it wouldn't give me the same pleasure.
Even if it had all the same memories and everything. Really?
Yeah. And it's hard to pinpoint why, but then it makes me question, why would I even enjoy torturing my worst enemy if they hadn't been cloned?
Yeah.
Because they also change over time. In 1 second, they will be a clone of who they were a second ago. But I get more pleasure out of their suffering than like, hey, we made 1,000 clones of them that all think that they're the real one. You can pick one to beat up. I'd be like, that just doesn't feel fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's like maybe it's because all the other clones are not getting the punishment that they deserve.
Yeah, that would be an interesting scenario. But I know what you mean. Like, it doesn't feel satisfying. This came up once in a video I was doing where someone suggested something like...
Cara, os malucos começaram a falar de vingança, meu irmão.
You know, making a perfect clone of Hitler and sort of punishing him for World War II, and whether that would satisfy our sense of justice. Would we feel that justice had been done because we've got this figure who wakes up and goes, yeah, it's me. I remember doing that. Yeah, this was me. I did it last week, and we punished them for it. Yeah, would we be satisfied?
So it wouldn't feel very satisfying.
Yeah.
But it should in a way, because that person who is being punished thinks that they really are Hitler.
Yeah, right.
So someone who did what he did is experiencing the consequences. And yet it doesn't change what happened. So you're missing that piece.
Yeah. Because also there's a reverse question here. If we want to say, well, he didn't do it, but as long as he thinks he did it, that's a good reason to punish him. Does that mean that if someone does commit a crime and then they forget about it and they genuinely don't think that they did it, do we now not punish them? Because the thing that matters is that, you know, whether or not they think they did it.
Yeah, I know.
So
So what you've got to do is wipe your memory and you can get away with any crime.
Yeah, right. So the only way I can kind of feel about it is that maybe we should make punishment less cruel. Like, okay,
Right.
look, you did it. You don't remember that you did.
Yeah.
Or you didn't do it, but you really think you did. Let's just, okay, and the first example is better. You did it, but you don't remember that you did it. Or
Yeah.
you did it, but you're actually a clone of the consciousness of the real bunch of matter that did it. I just think we need to separate them from society, but make sure that they're happy.
Yeah.
Don't execute them or punish them, but just because we want everyone to be safe, we're gonna put you guys on the clone planet.
Yeah. It becomes purely preventative.
It's just
stuff.
preventative,
Yeah.
but we want it to remain like fair.
Yeah. If you enjoyed that clip, you can watch the full episode with Michael Stevens by clicking the link that's on your...
Eu acho que... Eu não sei, sempre que tem esse tipo de discussão assim, eu sempre acabo chegando na conclusão de que a consciência, ou nós, tipo... Porque eu acho que a grande pergunta é essa, né? O que define nós como unidade, né? Então, por exemplo, eu, Rafael. O que me define como Rafael? Então, por exemplo, a gente, nessa questão que a gente estava falando antes, né? Por exemplo, da transfusão. Se eu começar a transferir, por exemplo, eu pego um órgão meu e um órgão meu vai parar na outra pessoa. Eu sou menos eu, ou, por exemplo, um órgão de uma outra pessoa vem parar em mim. Sangue e tal. Mudou o que é a unidade, Rafael? Ou, por exemplo, a questão que eles estavam falando, né, de amputação. Se eu amputar os meus membros, por exemplo, se eu ficar só o meu corpo, não tem mais pernas, não tem mais braços, eu sou uma pessoa diferente? Ou, por exemplo, se eu... filosoficamente falando, né? Tipo, biologicamente falando, talvez não dê, mas vamos supor, eu pego metade da matéria do meu corpo e transfiro para uma outra pessoa, né? Então, por exemplo, meus órgãos, eu pego metade dos meus órgãos e coloco numa outra pessoa. Eu tô agora dividido, a unidade Rafael tá dividida, sacou? Porque agora meio tá aqui, meio tá lá. Então, acho que essa coisa do corpo, ela me parece que não define a unidade. Eu acho que isso é ponto. A não ser que a gente entenda que não há unidade, o que também é uma parada. Mas se a gente parte do pressuposto que existe uma unidade, não me parece que o corpo é isso. Então me parece que a unidade, ela tá mais no meu entendimento, assim, né? Mas aí começa aquela coisa, né? Do tipo assim, então o que é essa unidade? Porque se eu mudar minha personalidade, eu sou uma outra unidade agora? Tipo, eu sou diferente? Eu não sou o mesmo Rafael? E aí me parece que acaba virando essa coisa das memórias, assim, tipo, o conjunto de memórias que eu tenho é o que me transforma na unidade. E, obviamente, ela é mutável a cada milissegundo, né? A cada menor unidade de tempo que é possível. Porque memórias são esquecidas, memórias são alteradas o tempo todo. Então me parece que essa unidade e unidade estão sempre em movimento, mas se tivesse que definir uma unidade, é o conjunto de memórias que eu tenho de quem eu... Porque o conjunto de memórias que eu tenho me faz entender quem eu sou. Né? Então, por exemplo, se eu cometi um crime e de repente eu esqueci completamente, a memória foi literalmente apagada do meu cérebro que eu cometi um crime, aquela minha unidade não cometeu um crime. Pra mim, eu não sou um criminoso. E ponto. Só que as outras pessoas vão continuar achando que eu sou um criminoso, né? Então também tem a partir do ponto de vista, né? A unidade que me vem não é a mesma unidade que eu acho que eu sou. Dito isso também, quando cai naquele exemplo lá que eles falaram do cara que tem agora uma memória de 7 segundos, não, eu imagino que ele tem uma memória estabelecida que ele consegue se lembrar até certo ponto na vida, porque senão ele não conseguiria saber andar, ele não conseguiria respirar, não conseguiria fazer nada, ou ele não saberia nem que são pessoas, assim, eu não sei como é que é o caso desse cara especificamente, mas ao mesmo tempo é isso, né? A partir de certo ponto ele agora só tem 7 segundos de retenção, né? E também isso é muito doido. Então essa unidade, o que é essa unidade? Eu acho que é uma unidade que na verdade ela só é muito volátil, né? Ela é volátil o tempo inteiro, né? Ela é volátil. Inclusive ficar perto desse cara deve ser uma coisa muito doida. Esse cara acordando para a vida o tempo todo, né? Cada 7 segundos tu não consegue falar nada com ele. Tu pergunta se ele... Tu pede para ele uma água, ele vai lá, de repente esqueceu. Mas, cara, enfim, essa coisa da unidade, assim, eu acho que tem tudo a ver com a coisa da consciência, né? Do tipo, o que é essa consciência? Então, pra mim, consciência e a unidade, elas são muito atreladas, eu diria. Mas a gente pode começar a falar que talvez não exista unidade, né? Então, a gente, na verdade, essa ideia de unidade é simplesmente porque a gente não consegue conceber uma outra coisa, né? Mas talvez, não sei. Enfim, falei o que vocês acham.